Welcome everyone to the Small Business Video Challenge for 2024. My name's Scott Murphy. I'm from Digital Main Street, also the Business Centre, and I'm joined by Natasha Penn. Natasha Penn is an experienced economic development officer here at the City of North Bay's Economic Development Office. She provides professional business counselling, market research and business planning services to organisations who are looking to grow in the North Bay area. How you doing, Natasha?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We're also joined virtually by Ryen, who's somewhere in the world. Ryen is Ryen Veldhuis. Is that how you pronounce it, Ryen?
I always tell people to just go by the first name. It's Ryen with an E, so it's unique enough for people to remember.
Don't worry about the last name?
Don't worry about the last name. It's always too hard for people to pronounce, so I tell them to let it slide.
Okay. Ryen is the co-founder and production director at Buzzmasters, a video branding and communications agency here in North Bay. Ryen has years of experience in photography, cinematography, writing, and post-production. How are you doing today, Ryen?
Very well. A little bit out of town here.
Tell us about that. What are you doing? Is it available? Like, can you talk about it, or is it a secret?
Yeah. I can talk about it. We've been working on it for the past 6 months now. We've been really plunging into the mining industry as an avenue for doing video production. And so I'm out of town right now getting ready to go underground for a couple days. This week we did some testing today to make sure things were good. And then, tomorrow, very busy, long day underground, lots of fun, very unique environment. And it's something we're excited about because it's very challenging. It's not like, filming in a studio where things are very controlled. You have all the time in the world down there. It's very particular. So, out of town doing some R&D on that. Awesome.
Well, thank you for tuning in. Means a lot, and I'm sure you're going to bring some expert insights to this thing, so I'm excited to see what you've got. And we're also joined by Holly Cunningham. Holly is the Executive Director at Creative Industries, a non-profit organisation here in North Bay that supports and advocates for local artists. She also operates the Finch Beach Resort, a boutique cottage experience here in North Bay. How are you, Holly?
I'm great. Very happy to be here, Scott.
Yeah, and I just wanted to reach out as well and say thank you to our sponsors. So we're sponsored today by the North Bay Echo, the Business Centre Nipissing Parry Sound, Digital Main Street, the Ontario Business Improvement Area Association, also known as OBIA, the Ontario Provincial Government, and Toronto Association of Business Improvement Areas, also known as TABIA. So thank you so much for making this event possible. Don't forget too, we are also doing a bit of a challenge for this event. So the videos tonight will be given a bit of a score from our panel here. And that's based on the creativity of the video, the business marketing of the video, and the overall production quality. And the top 4 videos are going to be getting one of 4 prizes. And the prizes are a Samsung PC monitor, great for, a second monitor at work or editing videos, or maybe you just need a new monitor for your office. And then we also have a Samsung Galaxy tablet. So maybe you can use it if you're on the go, if you're a massage therapist or a point of sale system kind of thing, you can use it there. We also have a Square credit card terminal. So taking payments if you're at a farmer's market, or maybe if you've got a small office that people come and you do some sort of service, being able to take some credit card payments is great because it opens up your audience. No one likes going to a place and it's cash only and you've only got card and it's like, well, what are we going to do here?
This is true.
Right. And the 4th prize is a set of Sony wireless headphones. So that can also be used for business purposes, I guess, but probably more just to try and isolate away from customers or your team. And we are recording at the North Bay Echo studio here in North Bay. It's very snazzy, for lack of a better word. Very good audio, very good video. So highly recommended if anyone's looking to record a podcast. And I think, should we just get straight into it?
Yeah, let's do this.
Here are some behind the scenes of how I map and create my client's brow shape. First, I use the ruler to find the appropriate measurements, and now here I'm using a string method, which helps me to create the perfect outline. Here I'm showing my client all the color options. I always mix a blend of colors together for every client, and here are her results.
So that was Brows Around Town by Jade Vaillancourt. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And that's at brows_around town on Instagram. So I'll throw it to Natasha. What did you think?
Sure. I liked how they took the informative approach, so kind of really understanding the process of how they actually do what they do. It's good for me. I've never actually knew what the brow place did. It was clear, concise, and I have to say, like, the video from piece to piece was pretty seamless, which was nice. I don't know if I could catch it at the beginning, but did they mention their business name at all throughout the video?
No.
Maybe not. So maybe that's one thing that I would recommend to put in future, just because if this does get shared and the name of the business is lost, then it's just kind of nice to have that call to action, I think, for the audience looking at it. So
yeah.
But well done. Very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Good feedback. I think if she was going to put it out on something other than her own Instagram for the business, then she definitely would need to have some sort of like call to action or something at the end. But yeah, that's great. Let's go to Ryen.
Yeah, so the first thing I noticed when watching it was, when people do tall versus wide format when it comes to videos, oftentimes people film for wide and they convert to tall. And one of the first things I noticed about this was the initial shot. Most of the shots in it were very well suited for a tall format. The composition was strong. The framing was good for what they were doing. And with that, they were able to keep good color and good lighting throughout the video, especially when they're doing something like aesthetic services. You want good color, you want good lighting. And I'm just trying to watch it a few more times here just because I want to see what the focus is like on it. Just because when I was watching it initially, it looked like there were some of the details that might have been lost, that might have been auto-focusing if they're using a phone. But again, it could be just my my data here, so I was just giving it a couple more watch-throughs. But definitely I would say it's stronger in terms of what my expectations were going into it. Good color, good lighting, good composition for a tall format. In terms of audio, there's a nice soft music track in the background, which was nice and captivating, and the voiceover was good. The quality was strong. The voice was pleasant, although I do think it could have benefited from maybe a bit of a tighter script. Like it was mentioned, that kind of informal format is really good, but I still think a tighter use of what they're saying, like it was mentioned, a kind of call to action, a bit of repetition, the rule of threes. If you want an audience to understand something, say it 3 times, show it 3 times, do it 3 times. So I think it could have benefited from that, but overall I'd say it's a very strong start.
Great feedback. Holly, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree with a little bit with everybody. First of all, Brows Around Town is an excellent name. If I saw that come up on my Instagram, I'd be definitely intrigued. I definitely would have loved to just see a little bit more information about like what exactly the process that was happening was called, or like what it was meant to achieve. But you do get that from the video, and I did like the informal kind of nature of the voice of the esthetician that's talking on the video. Like Ryen said, it was nice and soft and pleasant, and kind of felt like, I don't know, if I was to go do that service, that I would be treated well. Yeah, and I just thought it did look very professional. Obviously, it was done with professional equipment and good lighting, and definitely love the callback to a 90s song in the background. So I think maybe their target audience.
What was the song?
I feel like it was that, I can't remember who the artist
sounded
is.
good.
But yeah, it was that, I can't remember the artist, but
Yeah.
I feel like they're definitely
I thought it was
targeting.
Ariana Grande or something.
No, I feel like it was way older than that.
Oh, okay.
So perhaps their target is millennials, and they're like,
Perhaps.
oh, we're going to put this like 90s R&B track behind
Yeah.
it. So perhaps clever there.
And that also helps with the algorithm, right? If they actually put in the type of music that we're looking
Yeah.
for, then yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the 90s was when we all overplucked our eyebrows. So they definitely know their audience.
We'll move on to the next one.
Don't stop.
So that was Stonewall Woodcraft by Mike Lagesten. Lagesten. Sorry, Mike, if I mispronounced your last name. And that's at Stonewall Woodcraft on Instagram. That was great. I guess who is ready to give their 2 cents? Holly?
I can jump in, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think, Holly?
Yeah, so just on first watch, I liked sort of the sped up approach to sort of technique. Yeah, and at the end, I think like the placement of the logo and just kind of bring it all together when, you know, the piece of furniture was obviously coming together was pretty cool. Yeah, and the music definitely sort of had like an energy to it that kind of also went along with the sort of sped up time. Yeah, I would say that I was, again, just left with wanting a little more. Like I would have loved to see an end product or kind of see like what a piece of furniture looks like at the end. That would be really, that would really kind of take it home for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great feedback. Natasha?
I was popping around in my seat a little bit with that music, so it definitely caught my attention. Again, short attention span, music helps with me. Love the call to action at the end of it where it did have the business logo. But definitely same with Holly. It was like a teaser. I'm like, okay, what is he building? And then I wasn't sure at the end of the product about what exactly it is. I have to say, I do like how it gives you like a little sneak peek into behind the scenes. So, and it's a clean workshop, which is really nice to see. And it gives you that feeling of like, okay, it's high quality products that are going to be coming out of that shop. So I really enjoyed it. But again, the music got me going. So well done.
Awesome. And Ryan, how you doing?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with that idea of the ending just missing something, and that being, you know, having that end product shown. I think if they had the logo superimpose the animation, which was really nice, on the finished product, giving us that sample of the woodworking process the way they did, would have made the entire thing very strong. Even if it was that 2 seconds, 3 seconds at the end, that was just the finished product. What I did like about it a lot was the use of speed ramping, transition animations and music to convey energy and speed and motion to an otherwise slow process. So the idea of woodworking, you know, it's not lightning fast. It's not the most captivating, so to speak, especially in a short medium. But in the video, they managed to say, you know, how can we make it more exciting? And they did that. So from a perspective of conveying energy to the audience, I think there is a great success there. And the other thing is, in terms of composition, again, when we look at the tall format, they used the shape of the product in such a way to be parallel with the format of the view. So the piece of wood that they're working on is the same shape and position as the screen. So when you watch it, it takes up, you know, visual real estate in a way that doesn't feel obtrusive to the audience. So they're not, it's like not against the grain, so to speak, in terms of how they're viewing it. And they did that throughout, which was great. Even at the point where the planks are laid down, they're still in a way that is vertical to the screen. So things like that make it visually appealing to an audience when they watch it, as opposed to something that would have been sideways and the sides are cut off. You know, it was a good use of space with their composition.
Great feedback. Yeah, that really stood out to me with the wood, because really, how do you shoot wood and make wood interesting? You know, and he was able to do it. It's like, yeah. Good job. Okay. And
the last piece, sorry, just to add one more thing, is the idea of having the front of the plank, that corner piece, in focus with him working out of focus in the background, I think adds a lot to it. Creates depth to the image. So, you know, it's just there's a lot of creative decisions made in something that otherwise is really simple and straightforward. It's just missing that bit at the end, like everyone was alluding to.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Natasha, you look like you're ready to
Sure, I have
feedback.
a few little points that I wanted to mention. So again, the music was great choice. And nice to see how it was like a clean background. I did find it was a little difficult to read the text. There was a lot of text in the amount of time that it was on the actual screen. So you would actually probably have to pause it and go back and forth and kind of read it that way. And also the color of the text. So the white on the black background was very hard for me to read. But again, I like how they're trying to use that informative approach, I guess, where they're trying to provide as much information about the business itself, because the other ones were a little different take. So this was nice. My other last comment I would like to say is that they had both males and females as models, which is kind of nice because when you look at the face clinic, my mind automatically goes to female customers. So that was a good, now I'm more intrigued of like, what does the face clinic offer? Like what type of people are they servicing? So definitely well done in some regard, but I would just say sometimes less is more. So a little less information may have been a little better in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, let's go with you.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest piece of constructive criticism is the text. For a video, having that much text crammed into such a small space, especially when you're looking at serif style text, which is meant for a physical written medium, whereas sans serif reads better on digital and screens, it makes it a little difficult to read those big paragraphs. I think what might have been a better way to go about it is to use key phrases or even small key sentences on screen and using voiceover to convey the longer form. That way you could still preserve all the detail that was mentioned while still trimming it down a little bit, and then keeping some important keywords up on screen that are more legible and more engaging for the audience. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this one.
Awesome. Holly?
Yeah, I pretty much had notes from what both Natasha and Ryan have said. I think that what the vibe that I was getting watching that video was kind of welcoming you to the space. Actually, I think the first text was welcome. And then it was these sort of shots of like entering the clinic and all the spaces. And then as Natasha mentioned, showing a male person, like a male model, getting work done. So I kind of felt like it did a really good job making someone feel comfortable going there, which I think is actually probably a big barrier for folks coming into clinics like that. So I really thought marketing-wise that was very smart. But yeah, the text was definitely a bit much. And also I felt like it was a little disjointed, that perhaps the text or what the video was saying could be more aligned with what I was feeling from the images. So what to expect when you come there, and how you feel as a client, with a little bit of backstory too. So there was a bit of a disjointedness going on, but overall I actually thought it was pretty well executed.
Cool. Well, let's move on to the next one. That was Alisha Audrey Visuals by Alisha Mackenzie. I guess her name's now Alisha Audrey. And that's at Alisha Audrey Visuals on Instagram. Ryan, you look like you're ready to chat.
Yeah, there's a few good things that I noticed about this one immediately. We're talking about the calm music and some of the audio components to it, but in terms of how it functions with the visual, there is good cutting on the beats of the music, which is nice. It lends to a very smooth watch. When we talk about it being short and sweet, sometimes it's not necessarily that it's short and sweet, it's that it has good pacing as well. And so cutting to the track helps a lot with that. The other thing, which I think was a great move, was showing the behind the scenes of how the photo is taken and then showing the end product. And they do that twice in it that I noted, which is a great idea because it shows people what the experience is like and then shows them what they can expect from that experience. So you're getting to see, the before and the after, in a sense, for those looking at getting photography done. And like Natasha mentioned, point a lens at anyone, and there's a sense of uncomfortability, especially those who don't regularly do it. So I think those are some of the great things that went into creating a very visually pleasing and audibly pleasing video that was short, sweet, to the point, and engaging.
Yeah, I definitely feel like this was sort of meant for maybe a TikTok audience. I think that it was very well done and definitely sort of takes on the common aesthetic of a TikTok video. And I think the fact that it's 15 seconds also tells me that that's meant to be for that format. I think in terms of algorithms, the shorter, the better, and the more engaging people will keep watching it. That's going to boost your algorithm. And the music is very familiar TikTok background music as well. So definitely this business owner knows their market. I'm thinking probably, selling a product like photography for just someone who wants to have a cool photo session of themselves is someone who's probably on TikTok. So I found it very, and as Ryen was mentioning with the last video, those text boxes that just had the key phrases was also just really effective. Like you were getting all the points just, in this very, very quick video, which is sort of exactly what you want to do on a platform like TikTok. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely an art to communicating in just as short amount of time as possible with the least amount of words as possible. It's not easy. So, yeah, really good. Natasha?
No, I would definitely agree with both Holly and Ryen's feedback. I would say this is one of the strongest videos that have that call to action. Like I know the reason why I'm watching the video, and it had that the call to action at the end of it, which was great. My only other comment that I would say, and this is just my eyes, but I kept bouncing up from the top title where it says like Valentine minis are back, and then trying to read the text because I wasn't sure if that top line would change. I do like it's there for consistency, but that was my only little piece that I would add is maybe to either put that at the bottom or have it at the very front as like an intro and then an exit, but kind of two levels of text. It just played differently with my eyes. But again, I really did like the behind the scenes video piece that they have there. And the music really does set the tone of that it's going to be an okay experience to go behind that lens. So yeah, great job.
Yeah. Great feedback. Yeah, I actually didn't notice that top level of text. I was so focused on that one that's like highlighted with the background there. But good spot.
Thanks.
Okay, producer Ben, can we go to the next one?
Hi, bonjour, I'm Alex. I offer psychotherapy, astrology, and yoga for embodied, cyclical, and authentic living. Stepping on the path to healing takes courage, and you don't have to do it alone. Let's connect to help you navigate life's seasons and come home to your authentic self. I'm accepting new clients in Ontario for virtual psychotherapy. Reach out to book a free consultation today.
That was Wild Astrology by Alexandra Albert, and that's wild.astrology on Instagram. Holly, you look like you're ready.
Yeah, I was very impressed by that. I feel like the video was high quality. I feel like I got to know this person, which obviously is going to be part of, their services. You're going to want to feel comfortable and feel like you know them. Feel like the videography images, like the B-roll was very soothing and kind of had that inspirational, feeling that you want to get from going to this kind of a service. And I like the accessibility of having the closed captioning. Like even though it was just kind of done in this kind of cute, bubbly way, it definitely allows for people who are hard of hearing or deaf to watch the video. But it also allows people to watch the video on silent, which is kind of nice because sometimes you're like scrolling through videos in a public place. You don't want people to hear what you're watching. So, that video.
Watching?
Yeah. Sometimes you're on TikTok when you shouldn't be. And, but yeah, I definitely, again, am getting the feeling that this is sort of a TikTok or maybe obviously like Instagram Reels audience. And because she's marketing to Ontario-based clients, that also she knows her market. She's going to get a further, like she's going to get out there with this kind of a video.
I do laugh about the whole no music. So my partner always sends me new videos and all that stuff. And he's like, do you ever listen to the music on it? I was like, no. He's like, that's half of the video. You need to. Anyways, laughing about that. Definitely a great video. I liked how she started with the hello and bonjour. So from that, I'm learning that she does both English and French. She really did talk about what she offers and her target audience themselves. Like they're in Ontario, they're looking for those type of services. So she's really knows who she's going after, and she showcased that throughout the video, which I really liked. And just to add on to Holly, she kind of really showcased that fun and bubbly personality, which is really nice to see, because when you're going in for that one-on-one consultations, you want to get a sense of who you're going to go and meet with. So I would say very well done on the video. I did enjoy it.
Ryen, hello and bonjour.
Well, as someone who's bilingual, I definitely appreciated the hello bonjour from her. I will say that this is one of the videos we saw that right out the gate, it introduces itself well and letting you know what the business is and what they do. It doesn't leave anything to chance as far as communicating the message. What I felt it did strongly was say, as Natasha mentioned, it's a one-on-one kind of service, and you need to know who you're going in with. And it does a great job at communicating the individual well. It shows her in a variety of environments so that the audience has an opportunity to see, okay, there's the professional office setting, there's the outdoor setting, every which in between, so they get a sense to engage with her outside of initiating the actual first meeting they might have in person or call in person. The one thing I will say it would have been nice to see is it might have been nice to see some client interaction in it, like some one-on-one. But that's me getting a little more nitpicky in terms of what to see content-wise. I find with these types of things, it's almost like someone's vouching for them, so to speak. If you see someone else engaging with them on screen, even if it's as simple as, them sitting and talking for one of the shots, or her taking notes as someone's talking, or being outside with someone and engaging in that one-on-one sense. Like we talked about with some of the previous content, is showing the audience what they might expect to see themselves doing, or situations they might expect to see themselves in, helps ease them into it. So that would be my one constructive criticism for it. And I do think it's a little bit nitpicky on my part, but it's better to give something that people can build on than nothing. Yeah. But otherwise, good shots, good music, very calming, and good communication of personality.
Yeah, and just a reminder, everyone submitted these videos as a small business from either Nipissing or Parry Sound and that surrounding area. And they've all, just tried to create something that they think represents their business. Or often they're probably just doing it themselves using a smartphone. Video is becoming more and more accessible for small business owners, so it's always good to get out there and practice. And if you ever need, professional help, there's great professional companies like Ryen. So, yeah, good job, everyone, so far. These are so impressive. Like, I'm blown away.
Yeah, definitely.
Producer Ben, can we go to the next one? So that was She's Connected. Melissa Maltais, sorry about these names, and Melanie Bucar. And it's at She's Connected We Count on Instagram. Very nice. Holly?
Yeah, I guess that my initial feeling was that I am intrigued about what this is. Like, I actually I'm not totally sure what this business does, but I wonder if that's part of the marketing tactic here, because I'm kind of intrigued to see what this is about. I also assume that it's marketing to women. She's connected. There's a lot of sort of, I think there was even like women icons and some folks at the very end. I think there was an image. It was a little hard to follow. Like I had to read quickly to take it all in. But yeah, I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but I would like to know more about this business, and maybe that's the point.
Yeah. Natasha?
Perfect. So I'm very along the same lines as Holly. So I would assume they're targeting a woman audience. They did use the more feminine colors. It was hard to exactly read because you're trying to look at the image to see if it's betraying something different to the text, and then your eyes just kind of bouncing up and down a little bit. I did notice, and I believe all the images were stock imagery. So I was kind of left thinking, who is the company? I wanted to know a little bit more about the owners behind it. I didn't see any pictures of the owners. And again, just stock imagery, you can sometimes tell when it's stock. It's kind of more forced. So would it be nice to have real photos, I guess, that they would have captured throughout their business journey, portrayed through there. I did like the music, though. It kind of kept me upbeat and intrigued throughout. So, and nice, I guess, transitions from slide to slide or picture to picture. It wasn't... anyways, it was smooth transitions. So that's it for me.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to touch on, almost as a bit of a preamble, is when it comes to video, there is a kind of challenge that comes into place when you want to use the slideshow format as opposed to a proper video format. And as far as it goes, I mean, in this particular video, the composition of the slides are very strong, I think. As was mentioned before, the challenge is when you get to reading the text while trying to engage with the visual content that's present on screen as well. And it's one of those things where I don't know necessarily if voiceover would make it better. So on this note, I guess as a piece of constructive criticism I give to anyone who is reliant on text on screen to communicate things is, when you look at video, we're in a medium where it's show, don't tell. So you want to use the opportunity as best as possible to say, what is the text I want to put on screen, and how can I show that visually with the camera instead of necessarily putting it as text for someone to read. At that point, what makes it different than a blog post or voiceover from, a podcast or a radio advertisement? We're dealing with video, so it really is ample opportunity for our creators to say, how can I show this instead of tell someone this? So I think, in relation to this one, we're dealing with a slideshow style with, as was mentioned, these kind of stock images. So I think my biggest piece of constructive criticism would be to say, these are the points that we're communicating. How can we communicate them visually more so than textually? But otherwise, the branding, the coloring, the composition, all that stuff was very sharp. It was very nice. It was very clean. It just would have been nice to see some more visual components put into it, some more video put into it, so there's a little more engagement with the audience on that front.
Great feedback. Yeah. It is interesting seeing the different types. So we've seen ones that are very much like person-focused, like the Wild Astrology one. We've seen ones that are very much graphic-focused, like the She's Connected one, and then you've seen ones that are very much like behind-the-scenes production-y focused, like the Stonewall Woodcraft one. Yeah, so it's great, the variety, and I think they all do come through. Some of them hit better than others, but it's also a bit biased because maybe my perspective, I'm not their ideal target audience. So I think some things you've noticed I didn't even pick up on, and some things Ryen noticed I didn't even pick up on because maybe I'm not the person who's meant to watch that video.
Mm-hmm. And I think Ryan's right too that these platforms are very competitive for people's attention. So when you're working with like slideshow text format, perhaps that's not going to grab someone's attention in the same way that a really stylish, really sort of well-edited video is going to. So that's another thing to consider for sure.
Yep. But what I think is exciting is that obviously you're talking about each video is kind of showcasing something different. It just shows how powerful video is and can be used in your business. So you can kind of take them behind the scenes. You can make it as an introduction. Like you use video in all different capacities in order to get a specific message across on your channels. So yeah, no, I think it's good. It's versatile, which is nice.
Okay. We might have a quick break, so we'll just get some refreshments and, fix our faces and hair and that sort of thing. But we'll be back very shortly after this quick message from our sponsors. North Bay Echo Community Podcast Network is excited to sponsor the Small Business Video Challenge for 2024. Entrepreneurs bring essential energy to the community that drives the economy, and video communication is one of the best ways to get a message across. Bring your communication strategy to the next level by exploring opportunities with North Bay Echo to create high-quality branded podcasts as part of your marketing strategy. Contact our editor at northbayecho.ca to learn more about North Bay Echo's community podcast network today. The Small Business Centre is a non-for-profit organisation that is dedicated to empowering entrepreneurs, startups and expanding businesses in the districts of Nipissing and Parry Sound. They provide valuable information, programs, training and resources to support entrepreneurs on their small business journey. Contact the Business Centre Nipissing Parry Sound to benefit from their collaborative community, supportive team and resources for your next step in business. Welcome back to the Small Business Video Challenge 2024. Thank you for keeping with us, and we're going to go straight into our next run of videos, starting with the next video producer, Ben. Okay, another short and sweet one. That was Twiggs Coffee Roasters, sent by Meagan Twigg, and that's at Twiggs Coffee Roasters on Instagram. I could go Twiggs Coffee right about now.
Mm-hmm. I just had one of them mochas for the first time. Delicious. Yeah, definitely a recommend.
I'm a fan of the cappuccino.
That's a classic.
That's a real drink.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With whipped cream on top.
Oh.
Holly, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I love the creativity and the concept of just doing this close-up shot of the mug with the brand logo on it. I mean, it's very simple and it's a great idea. I kind of was hoping that it would go into slow motion as the biscotti was hitting the coffee and coming back out. So a little bit of a missed opportunity there. However, it definitely still drove the same point home. And now I want a cappuccino. So it worked.
Yeah. Let's go with Ryen.
Yeah. The exact same thing went through my mind as I watched it, where a speed ramp going into slow motion would have been perfect on the dip. A couple things of note that I really, really liked. Again, when we're talking about using the framing well, again, the biscotti vertical, it fits the shape of a vertical format video well, because there's something coming from above. There doesn't feel like the sides are crammed in. It has good spacing, a lot of room to breathe. Having the Instagram handle on screen was great too. That when we talk about simplicity when it comes to like text on screen, I think that's a great one. I think one of the things they could have benefited from with a video like this is, again, when there's, say, the biscotti's not in screen, having it a text saying like relax at Twiggs or have a cup at Twiggs or something like really, really short in that blank space, disappear as it comes down, speed ramp, slow-mo as it dips in, And then the last thing would have been to drop the camera angle to be more head on so that you could see a bit more of the background instead of a bit of a top down view like it was. I think it would have been a little more visually, have more oomph visually speaking. What I love about it is the music choice with the background evokes something that I think every kind of coffee shop has this ambiance of like a rainy day at the coffee shop kind of thing, even though it's kind of snow in the background, you know, it still has that, you know, rainy day at the coffee shop, calm music, very serene. You get that kind of slow vibe from the music and the motions. And again, speed ramping to that slow motion would have just added into it. It would have helped give it that stickiness to the quality to make it feel a little more impactful with the audience. But I would say, as simple as it was, this might be my favorite one just because it evokes a feeling very strongly.
Can I ask a dumb question?
For sure.
What do you mean by speed ramp?
So speed ramp is when a speed is one speed. So we are 24 frames per second, which is standard. And when you go to slow motion, you increase the amount of frames per second that you're filming in, or decreasing the amount of frames that are displayed. So what happens is when you watch a video, if you look at me, for example, and I move fast like this, that's one consistent speed. But if I move fast and then it engages into slow-mo just as something big happens, it lets that small instance become grand in the eyes of the viewer. So speed ramps are a great way to show a visual narrative and slow it down just as the impactful moment happens to give it more of a stillness, to give it more of a image rather than a video. And it's a good way to, you know, when you have a good shot, to let that linger, let that feeling linger, and let that small moment become large. So that's the speed ramp, and that's kind of how they could have used it here to gain a little more engagement, more impactfulness from the video. But otherwise, I quite enjoy it, even though it's one shot and it's simple.
Great. Yeah, that's a great breakdown. Thank you very much. Holly? Natasha? I couldn't remember.
No, I don't have too much more to add to Ryen and Holly's comments. I definitely agree that the simpler, the better in this case. We all watched the video and wanted Twiggs. So I think it did its purpose of getting the point across of wanting their product that they're offering. And I wanted to just highlight, same with Ryen, really enjoyed the choice of music. So a cup of coffee, and it really does play into the product that they're offering. So I think they did think about everything, and I really enjoyed the video. So kudos to them.
Well, let's move straight on to the next one, Producer Ben. Bit of an office throwback by Tickled Teals Entertainment. That's Tealia Carrière, and that's at Tickled Teals on Instagram. Did any of you guys watch The Office?
Of course. British or American?
I'm an American fan myself. What about you?
Definitely the British one. But
The British one?
The American one's good too.
Ryen, you look like you're ready to go.
Yeah, so I know earlier I alluded a lot to like narrative and using visual storytelling, and I think this one's a good example of having a good narrative to it. It establishes it pretty quickly, you know, a day in the life of. It uses the office music to evoke a certain response, which is, you know, enjoyment in the mundaneness of an everyday kind of work lifestyle. The one thing I will say, though, is while it is a good video in terms of communicating a day in the life of, showing the behind the scenes, all that kind of thing, I think what it's missing is something a little more impactful in terms of selling the business, per se. It's a good behind the scenes piece. It's a good general awareness piece. It's a good, if I already know the business and I'm seeing it pop up in my feed kind of thing, it's fun. But if I've never heard of the business, or if I'm looking for those types of services, it's tough to watch this and feel this is what I needed. So I think it's a good follow-up type piece of content, or a complementary piece of content, but I think it either needs to go with something that is kind of the main campaign push for the business, or needs to be rejigged a little bit to be a little more business focused. So, you know, when it's that day in the life of narrative, having a little more focus into the different services that are specific, or the different things that are specific. And if it did do that, then, you know, it didn't quite reach me to the level that I would have needed as an audience members to understand that. And again, I think some of it has to do with, as I've talked about before, on-screen text versus visual medium. It's always tricky because you want to read, but you want to watch at the same time. And when we have something moving at such a high speed, it becomes tricky to, you know, juggle both. But otherwise, it's an entertaining piece of complementary content for an organization that I'm already aware of and would like to know more about and engage with.
Yeah, I was just going to echo Ryan and say I had the same feeling that if I was sort of a follower of this account already, this would be a really fun little video to see the day in the life of these, you know, business owners that I may have already come to know and be familiar with. I really did also just want to see more product. I was intrigued by the section where she was making the balloons and putting them away in a bag for a pickup. I'd love to see more of the product. I was intrigued by that part. Yeah.
And again, echoing the same similar comments. So I really did enjoy that behind the scene of a business owner. People don't really get to, or don't understand all of the different facets that business owners actually have to take on. So it was kind of nice to see like the admin and the cleaning and all of that. Again, the end product, she does great work. So would it be nice to have some of that, even just in the background? So that way it may not be the point or the focal point of the video, but we know kind of what's going on. And then the call to action at the end. So, you know, bringing up the business name with a phone number, anything like that, just to kind of finish it off. Again, I think that would have helped to be like, okay, let's go check out the page and find out more. So,
great points. Yeah, definitely. The one thing that stood out to me with that one is there was a very, very diverse range of shots from all sorts of angles, which I felt was great because it's showing, you know, different things she's doing throughout the day, but it's also like the consistency and like what's the term, Ryan? Like the wall where you got to kind of shoot from one angle.
Continuity, shot composition, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just it kind of, for me, was a bit jarring doing the jumps to different angles, but you definitely found out what she does in a day. So that's very insightful.
Yeah, the general rule, for those wondering, is 180 degrees. So there's a line that you don't want to cross. And the best way to think about it is like when you're watching a stage play, have your camera be where the audience is and never let it cross onto the stage pointing towards the audience kind of thing. So, you know, there's the line here, and the audience watches this way. Have the camera anywhere here, but never here, because then that breaks immersion and creates confusion for the audience. So I think that's kind of what you're referring to, is that 180 degree rule of making sure people feel situated.
Exactly. In much better explanation than I could provide. Awesome. Well, producer Ben, do you mind going to the next one?
Don't be ridiculous.
So the challenge, the instruction in the challenge was they could send videos up to 30 seconds. Didn't have to be 30 seconds. And to be honest, if it was around 30 seconds, 40 seconds, that's fine. And even if it's that short, that's fine. It's trying to like open up the range so people can think, okay, how can I communicate what's special about my business in a short amount of time with what I have available. It's kind of the vibe I was going for, but it's definitely interesting seeing like the range of just like people's ideas and creativity coming from like, that was a very like TikTok, like voiceover kind of thing. And then you've got other ones that are like behind the scenes and just graphics or making the product. But yeah, it's great to see all this diversity. Let's start with you, Natasha.
Perfect. So I'm going to use one of the comments that Holly had mentioned earlier about a different video, but I am left wondering more about the company and the business and what they offer. Just a little more, I think, on the call to action kind of piece would have been great. I did like the voiceover because that it like grabs you right away. She looks like she has a fun personality. She kind of has some things on her head there. But again, I wasn't sure of the business name and the concept that she was trying to put across in the video. But it was short and sweet and entertaining. It would probably make me go check out the page for more to see what other content that she has available.
Ryen?
Now, just a point of curiosity here so that I can make a good comment afterwards in terms of a constructive one. Do you know offhand what the business is?
I do.
For context for me. Could you provide me with said context?
What do you think the business is?
I'm going to be very honest
in
the most respectful way possible. I legitimately have no clue. Like, okay. I can't even begin to fathom. Hold on. I'm going to watch it again real quick.
So I should, before you watch it again, I'll mention the business's name and the Instagram because I keep forgetting that over and over again. But that was Tabby Cat Clips by Tabitha Schaefer, and that's at Tabby Cat Clips on Instagram.
Is it a product for cats?
No.
Is it
actually
like cat clips to put in your hair?
No, it's actually like these clip-on badges that nurses and health professionals wear that has like a lanyard, retractable lanyard attachment, and they have different ones for different days. And I think they have like different designs because I think they're meant to provide like comfort to the kids or the patient in a way because they're like seeing a little cartoon character or something. Yeah, very unique business, very like Etsy-like.
Mm-hmm. So now that I'm aware, this is what I will say. By and large, I enjoyed it. When we talk about the different lengths of content, what people can do, it is very difficult and bold to do something that is, sub 10 seconds and captivate an audience. And, having something like boisterous, villainous laughter to begin with is something that is not normal. So what it does is it immediately captivates whoever's watching it. The first 3 seconds are so essential, and having something so zany to begin with is good. But what I think it's missing is that idea of communicating visually. It doesn't have to say, this is our business, but having a finished product on her to begin with, and maybe laughing and doing something very brief with the product in a offhanded way. So like, say it's a clip that does this, right? You said it's like a lanyard clip. So having it, maybe motioning with it while doing the laughter, and then grabbing the the whole bundle of constructs that she had at the end. I think that would have communicated more about the business for those who know what it is, and might have given a little more of a curiosity gap for those who don't know what it is. Because for someone like me who, again, like I mentioned, like I have no clue what it is. I have nothing to contextualize what the product is. It's one of those things where I don't have enough of a clue to go look for what it is because I don't know what to look for. And it's just kind of a dead end for someone like me, but someone who has enough of a clue to be like, oh, that's neat. What is that for? Oh, what's this? Like, it gives a little more information. So seeing that finished product, even in slight use at the beginning for that 1-2 seconds, could have made the last 4 seconds with the punchline that much funnier, because we see one product and then we see the bundle of products that are ready to go. Other than that, there's just a small typo at the beginning. And I think by and large, the creativity is there and the execution's there. It's just missing that bit of information.
Yeah, great points. Definitely. Holly?
Yeah, much like the last video, I felt like that it would be a really great video for an already developed audience. So I already know about this product. Maybe it's one that I haven't thought about in a while. I'm a nurse and I need, one of these clips or whatever. And then this comes up in my feed and I'm like, oh yeah, that's so cute. Yeah, I love gnomes or whatever. Also, I was really looking for the gnome and I couldn't find it. I think it was on the product at the end.
Yeah, I think she was like holding lots of them.
Yeah, and it's like there wasn't
see.
One that was like clearly visible. That was the only other comment. But so I think like in a certain context of like an already curated audience, this could be really impactful. And I did like the creativity of it, and also just taking advantage of a TikTok trend or a meme like that can be sometimes helpful for marketing, because people will already be like looking for that audio if they like that particular meme, and then something like this could come up. So yeah.
So let's move on to the next one, producer Ben. So that was Lavish Beauty Lounge, and that was sent in by Ashley Cleverton, and that's at Lavish Lounge 905 on Instagram. With
this video, I was really thinking about the audience that they're trying to cultivate, and I think that I feel like they're definitely going for the right audience, and I actually was like, is that a Kardashian? So I feel like the people who maybe go to this lounge, I don't know, that's a beauty trend right now, right? Like these are like the influencers that they look to. I don't know if that was
could have been a Kardashian. I don't know.
Could have been a Kardashian.
She actually is an influencer. Because I think she's on Too Hot to Handle or one of those. Yes, so that was one of my comments, is that it is an influencer. Because I was like, hey, I feel like I don't know. And I was just thinking like they chose a model that kind of had a very Kardashian like look, maybe on purpose. But again, like they know their audience, right? Like that's definitely one of the biggest beauty influencing families there is. And yeah, I mean, I think I definitely got the point of like what this business does. And, again, with these sort of beauty and cosmetics clinics, it's nice to see the clinic and people actually getting work done. It makes it feel like less scary, or you know what to expect. And yeah, it made it seem like a really fun, kind of vibrant place to be, where people were getting along and having a good time. So yeah, I think the audio mixing could have been a bit better. The voiceover at the end, or the voice of the model at the end, was hard to hear. Yeah.
Cool. Natasha?
No, along the same lines, I did mention that I enjoyed the use of the influencer, because I think that's definitely powerful and impactful, especially when you're going on digital marketing, that people are going to know usually if you're watching those type of shows. I did like the call to action at the very beginning, or a business logo that came across on the beginning and at the end. Again, I think the wording at the end could have been a little smoother, or transitioned in there nicer. And then also she could have maybe used the business name again instead of "I love this lounge." It could have been I think it's the Lavish Lounge. lounge? Yeah, Lavish Beauty Lounge. And if just adding that little bit of context, I think could have helped a little bit too. Same thing, I liked how they showcased a variety of different products and services that they offer. So from lashes to hair. And then everything was very clean in there, which going into a beauty salon or a cosmetic place of business, you definitely want it to be clean. So that was definitely nice. It was aesthetically pleasing on the eye, let's say. So yeah, well done.
One thing I quite enjoyed about this one that I feel like it did more so than any of the ones we've watched tonight so far is something I refer to, or the industry refers to as sequencing. Now, sequencing is the idea of stringing together several shots of the same type to communicate a narrative. So when we talk about, you know, the girl looking into the mirror and doing something, or the hair being sprayed, usually people will do one shot of the hair being sprayed and then they'll cut to another shot of something else being done that's totally unrelated. But what we saw this one with things like the hair being sprayed or the eyelashes, they do sequencing. So starting with a wide shot, showing the full picture, cutting to a close-up with a slightly different angle, showing some more detail, showing additional work. And what that does is it gives an audience a chance to really kind of let sink in the narrative that is being communicated to them, which in this case is the different services they provide. So, you know, some of the other times we mentioned, oh, it's hard to identify the services or it's hard to identify the product. When you do sequencing, it gives the audience different angles, different perspectives on things, and helps communicate a stronger story so that it stays in your memory longer. So the ones that worked out better in their video were the things they did with sequencing, which was really good. One of the things I think it could have done a bit better on, and this is me starting to get nitpicky because they started doing some sequencing, which is a little more advanced as far as video is concerned, is there's a little bit of inconsistency in lighting. So some of their shots had better lighting than other shots, and when you want to do different angles and wides and close-ups, it's really important to consider, okay, well, how is the light affecting my camera differently now that I'm tighter and less light is coming in than when I was further back? So there's just something to keep in mind when shooting is, you know, making sure your light is consistent. In the world of film, you know, oftentimes they shoot with one camera angle at a time because they have to change the lighting when they go to the reverse shot or the different shot, because, you know, everything is kind of engineered behind the scenes, just like this kind of makeshift studio I have with me here is engineered specifically for this one shot. And if I change it, I need to relight it. So that would be my one constructive criticism, is some of their lighting is inconsistent, and the ones that they lit well are lit well, but some of their other shots could be better lit. But just to reiterate again, their sequencing was good and communicated their services well. And I do agree about the end with the audio. It could have been a little more strongly executed. But overall, I think this was a good one.
Was that everyone? Did you go?
She started.
It's all blurring into one video for me. It's like processing. Okay, yeah, great feedback. Thank you so much. And I like how everyone's giving their own perspective, because you being from the city, doing a lot of business planning, a lot of economic development work, you working with businesses kind of on the paper side of things and logistics and funding, and then Holly being very, you know, integrated into the creative scene as well as the logistics of getting a creative going from really being a creative to a creative business owner. And Ryen having a lot of camera expertise that I know nothing about. So it's awesome. I'm learning a lot right now, so I hope everyone else is too. Okay. Producer Ben? Okay. That was Gateway City Brewery, sent by Sully Sullivan. And that's at Gateway City Brewery on Instagram. I believe that's the first video to have an extreme sport. If you count
Right.
cruising on a skateboard as an extreme sport.
Technically a longboard.
Natasha, what did you think?
I was intrigued how it started off at Twiggs, but it was Gateway Brewery that was tagged. So I'm like, okay, what's the connection here? So it like kept me engaged throughout the whole video because I was waiting to see where the connection came in between the two companies. So definitely well done. I enjoyed that kind of collaboration, I guess. My comment I would say about the partnership would be to tag Twiggs as well in the video. It just helps with that extension of audience reach there. I also, and I'm not sure Ryen can come in with the technical side of things, but I think if the video was shot landscape, we may have actually been able to see more of like the Gateway City Brewing location when he pulled up and that type of thing. But I really enjoyed it. I loved the music. I liked the vibe that it had. It had like that laid back kind of feel to it. And again, well done on making us wait till the very end of the video to see what product they are that's showcased. So I really enjoyed it. Well done.
Holly?
Yeah, I liked the narrative story kind of vibe to it. Definitely was getting a local business supporting local business vibe, which was cool. And I think there's a little bit of a shout out just to North Bay in general, like the fact that there was sort of these longer shots of like, I think that was Sully on the skateboard, like going between the two businesses and like the journey along the way kind of thing. I think that a couple of the shots could have been a little tighter, like maybe the shots of the movement of like the skateboard to and from. Probably could have tightened that up a little bit. And then a call to action at the end, maybe introducing their new like Fire Tower, or introducing the Fire Tower beer, which is a collaboration with Twiggs. Yeah, there's definitely like, I'm totally blanking on the director right now, but there's like a vibe with sort of the wide shots and like where Sully was standing, and it'll come back to me.
Yeah. It did feel very...
It'll come back to you in 2 seconds here.
Yeah, exactly. Tonight in bed.
did feel very cinematographic. Like the way he definitely planned those shots.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just him
Exactly.
whipping out his phone and going for a skate. You know?
No. Mm-hmm.
So
It told a story, right? It was,
Yeah,
it was
it's like
yeah.
kind of, it's a day in the bay kind of thing.
I like that tagline, a day in the bay.
Copyright Scott Murphy.
I'm gonna Google. So
It's Wes
Ryen?
Anderson. It's
Yeah,
the
it's Wes
same color
Anderson.
palettes
Oh.
that he uses, the same
Thank you.
kind of style, and that's what gave it that very cinematic feel. Even in the tall format, one of the things I noticed was there is a very evident horizontal band of color palettes, which was very nice and pleasant between, you know, the vibrant, cool blues of the sky that were consistent throughout, and the kind of warm pink of the pavement as well. So definitely, when I talk about cinematography when it comes to video, you know, I think this video here is a clear demonstration of someone who understands principles of cinematography and how to apply them creatively. You know, as was mentioned before, there are a couple cuts that I think could have been a little bit tighter, where it ends, a shot will end, or a shot will complete its action. There will be a slight pause, and then it will cut to another shot. I think if some of those shots were tightened just a little bit, it would flow a little bit more strongly. But again, whenever I see videos that are stronger, the more critical I get, because it's evident that this is a person that understands what they're doing, and they're searching for the finer points that they can refine what they do. So a little bit tighter on those cuts, especially on the action, can help transition from scene to scene. The color grading was really nice. The music and the pacing was nice. I do agree in terms of the missed opportunity with the Fire Tower beer, the co-branding. I can't recall, it wasn't shown in the video, was it?
At the very,
Or was it
end.
the end? Yeah,
A real
I
close
think
up of it.
maybe You know what? Do you know offhand? And I should know this, as they're the sponsor of my the dodgeball team I play on. Do you know if you can buy the fire tower at Twiggs or just at Gateway?
I would think you can, because Twiggs is licensed.
Because
They do sell
I think
beer
if
at
they would have
Twiggs.
shown it in the background at Twiggs at the start, then it would have made for a nice bookend. So if he were getting a coffee at Twiggs and you saw some fire tower on the shelf or in the background moderately prominently, then I think that would have been a nice setup to the sort of alley-oop that was the ending of the video. But definitely a very strong visual and narrative video.
Absolutely. I was just thinking in my head, what would have been funny is if he went to Twiggs before going on the skateboard, got a beer, went around town on the skateboard drinking the beer, and then went into Gateway and then like started drinking a cappuccino. And like she gives him a cappuccino, and it's like they're kind of very, very linked. But with that last shot with the fire tower beer, at first when I saw it, I actually didn't pick up on that connection. I didn't see the Twiggs on the can, but then after a second watch, I actually saw it. Oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it was very subtle. It wasn't in your
Yeah.
face. Yeah, which can hinder what the main goal of the video is, right? So.
Okay, so let's move to the next one, Producer Ben. So that was Miller Metal Wood Creations, sent in by Ethan Miller, and that's at Miller_metal_wood_creations on Instagram. Well done. That's our second wood crafting business. Is that a very common thing in Nipissing and Parry Sound to craft wood?
I don't think it's that common. I think
Maybe it's just Canadian.
Yeah, very, yeah.
Is it common in Australia?
No, we had to learn it at school, but I couldn't name anyone who actually makes like wooden furniture or anything in Australia.
We do learn it here. You have to take woodworking within schools as well.
Yeah.
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 There's more of a demand, obviously, for that type of product here.
You've got a lot of trees here.
We have a lot of trees and a lot of people that like that wood texture look.
Ryan, are you ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I noticed was the sound design was a lot of fun with this one. There's some swooshes, some whooshes, a lot of clicking and clacking because of the jump cuts, which gave it a very kind of upbeat feel to the video. There was, hold on, I just need to, no music to it, so like, this is going to sound like a dumb reference, but like the fight between Darth Vader and Luke in the sixth Star Wars, in the fifth one, there's no music. It's just the sound design that they utilize to communicate what's going on. And so with this one, the sound of the tools, the sound of the wood, the sound of the swooshing, like it's using the sounds of the environment to communicate with the audience, which is a lot of fun, which I think was a good choice. The abundance of jump cuts also add a lot of energy to it. The one thing I will note is just going back to that kind of 180-degree rule we talked about, some of the shots kind of jumped around to angles that were a little too divergent from previous ones, which made it a little tough to follow in some instances, but by and large, I think, it was very well done in keeping everything kind of rather tightly knit. When we talked about the other, I hate comparing directly to another video specifically that is the same thing, but when we talked about some of the things we wanted from the other woodworking video was to see a kind of finished product. And this is something we got to see more with this one, is kind of the end so to speak. So I think it was good. It was upbeat. It was quick. It communicated things. And it was very different than the other woodworking one, which I think goes to show how you can do the same type of product or service creatively in two different ways.
Yeah, great points. And again, it is tough to shoot wood. So that's two very different videos for a very, standard item, right? So great creativity. Holly?
Yeah, I kind of felt like this video, what I liked a lot about it was kind of utilizing a lot of like satisfying things, like just to the, I guess, human sensation of like watching something come together at the end, like fit perfectly into those spaces. And then the close-ups of like the wood shaving, and like Ryen was mentioning the the audio design and the sound effects, like I felt like they were slightly perhaps out of sync, but maybe it was just the like where we're watching from here. But yeah, it definitely just kind of had this sort of like, it sort of captivated you and you wanted to keep watching until the end and watch it actually come together. And then you got to see that product actually finish at the end, which was very satisfying. And then you had the call to action of the actual business. So yeah, I thought it was really good.
I'm going to echo very similar comments. So I know the sound bites that are used, definitely very popular on TikTok platform, and it's definitely very gratifying as someone that's watching it, is that noise of, you see it in many different video types, which I enjoy. I did like how they start with you got to see the whole process of how the product was made, because we take for granted different products that we purchase off of shelves or get it custom made. So it was actually really nice to see the process of how it actually comes to be. And again, great call to action at the end with the business name itself. Maybe a phone number or a tag like their Instagram handle or something else could have been added in, but I think it was nice and clean. And I actually really did enjoy this video. So great job.
Okay. Lucky last, producer Ben. Okay, that was Melanie's Business Management, submitted by Melanie Hopkins, and that's at Melanie's Business Management on Instagram. Holly?
Yeah, I was just going to start off with that again, it feels like perhaps the audience that this business is trying to target is the audience that used to watch Sex and the City. Because immediately when it started, I was like, like I perked up, because that was like first year of university. And I also, I kind of wondered like how creative this video could have been if it was actually including like video content. But yeah, I definitely was intrigued by the questions that were being posed. So you're like the asking the audience to ask themselves these questions. A lot of those questions, I was like, yeah, I could use that. I could use a virtual assistant for sure. Yeah, but just going back to the whole, like, there's different ways to make these videos. There's different sort of like, use of slideshow, photo, or video. And those are going to capture attention in different ways. I think the use of audio was really smart here, because I think the slides are not capturing attention in the way that a video would. So it was a creative use there. Yeah.
Yeah. Natasha?
I definitely agree. I got hooked by the music right away. The slideshow base, it was good to see the different levels of text. At some points were a little hard to read. I think it was just the different color contrasts. And the only other comment I would put in there would be obviously a virtual assistant. That's very personal service. So it would have been nice to know who the virtual assistant was behind the platform, I guess, the computer or the phone. So even just a picture at the end, I know it was very slideshow based, just something more personal at the end would have been great. But again, I enjoyed the music and good job on the video.
Ryen.
Yeah, I'll echo everyone else here. The choice of music was fun. I mean, it's a good, catchy, fun, upbeat song. In terms of what we saw visually, I mean, we talked about the kind of slideshow approach to things. And with this one, you know, there are some issues around legibility. One of the issues is we have, you know, white text on a soft, you know, kind of pink tan background, which makes it challenging to read. And you can see the difference between that and the black text up top, which also causes some issues when you have two texts that are supposed to be read of two different styles, two different sizes, two different colors. There is a bit of a visual dissonance there. So I think, you know, some kind of one or the other kind of situation. But I think maybe if they had kind of played around with some of their color palette a bit more to make it more legible in the background if they want to go with the slideshow route. You know, that could have been a little more engaging for the audience. With this, it's tough, you know, when it's a lot of the same color on the same color, it turns into things kind of get lost in the background.
Great. Yeah, great feedback. So that's all 13 of our small businesses that have submitted videos today, and definitely a great range of things. What I'll do is I'll let you guys have a bit of a chat while I tally up the scores. If you want to pass me your sheets. Well, what's going on with you? Have you got anything you're working on that you'd like to plug? Anything exciting coming up?
Sure. So we can talk a little bit about my portfolio at the Economic Development Office is focused a little on the immigration attraction and retention element. So workforce is definitely one of the key challenges that many businesses are facing at the moment. So we're actually working and we're using video, which is exciting, showcasing some success stories of people that have relocated to North Bay. Basically showcasing, there's a big push on lots of immigrants that are coming across. They land in kind of the main 3 to 5 large centers and areas, so Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, and so on. So we're just basically trying to promote that you can enjoy a life in a smaller or rural more community, because people that are relocating over, they may not want the hustle and bustle of these large cities. So being able to showcase people's stories coming from all different backgrounds, and obviously showcasing some of the challenges, because it is challenging immigrating to a new country. So we're using video as that method in order to kind of capture the testimonials of how they have integrated successfully here. And then on the flip side, we're actually going to be chatting to some employers to see how their workplaces have now been able to adapt and change because of the diverse cultures that are being brought into the community. So definitely exciting project, and hopefully it'll be coming out in the next few months. But we usually utilize video at our department just to kind of showcase the community as well as the advantages of obviously being located in North Bay. It's very compelling because it's hard to explain everything of a community. So it's nice to actually use that visual element and storytelling of the natural assets that we have here, even the industry's capabilities, the wide variety of industries that we have here. So a 2-minute video can really sum up a 1-hour presentation. So it's definitely important for us to use video in that way.
That's awesome. Does the city actively recruit folks, or is it more just sort of like using the videos once they, like you said, the 5 major cities that newcomers are kind of arriving at? Or is it sort of like, does it start in their home country, that recruitment?
So we're actually starting, so this project is like a year underway, but we've actually started going into those larger centers. So they've already landed in Canada, and they're looking for opportunities to relocate out of those large centers, maybe for employment, quality of life, housing, that type of thing. Cost of living is a big thing. So us even just being able to promote the city of North Bay, many people haven't heard it of the community. So it's just being there, and then also partnering with different partners such as Yes Employment, and the Multicultural Center to kind of say these are the supports and services that are available on the ground. And even just talking about like our post-secondary institutions. People are so curious that a community up in Northern Ontario have all of these amenities. And it's like, no, we do. We have post-secondary institutions. We have highways. We have an airport. So it's just a nice way to kind of showcase those assets to newcomers that are looking at new locations, I guess. But traditionally, we won't recruit on behalf, but we would kind of partner up with other organizations. Yeah.
Cool. The Finch Beach Resort is just got a sauna. So winter has just gotten a lot warmer for our guests. So that's been really fun. And we will be rolling out an artist residency program later this year. So we just renovated a little studio space on site and be hosting artist residency stays. So, marketing to artists around the world that want to come and do sort of like have a dedicated studio space, but also a living space and have kind of the resort amenities and be on the beach, but in town and also just artists around Ontario or in Canada. There are funding opportunities for artists to do residencies. So it's kind of taking advantage of that market as well. And yeah, we're having a winter sale right now. So we've had a lot of people who are doing winter activities this year. So ice fishing and it was sort of a slow start to the season. So, but yeah, it's been good. And my band is recording an album.
Oh my
What
God.
band's that?
Yeah, what band?
We're called Peach Pact.
Wow.
Yeah. And we got funding from the Ontario Arts Council to record our debut album. So amazing. We will be
Do you
in the
have
studio.
an estimated release date of that album?
We don't, but I think we're recording in June. So we still have to write 2 songs.
And I have to say, maybe this is a good intro, but obviously, Holly, you wrote a song for North Bay that's in some
This
of our
is true.
videos. Yeah.
The OG
Yeah.
marketing, video marketing. But yeah, yes, that is true.
Yeah. So we do hear that song and it's like a little jingle in the back of our head when we're
Nice.
watching it, but great job. Yeah. No.
Thanks. Yeah.
Ryan, what are you, we know what you're doing, but what's lined up for you and Buzzmasters and the next part of 2024?
So like I mentioned, mining's a big push for us, but on the other side of things, on the totally opposite spectrum of mining and industrial manufacturing and like advanced engineering and all this interesting but kind of dangerous quote unquote stuff, we want to push into the creative side of things a lot more too. So, a lot of people don't realize this, but my background is in writing and specifically creative writing. So I used to be head of a literary journal in Sudbury. I used to get poems and prose published all the time. But, when you start running a business, it's something you don't get to do as often. But lately, I've been sacrificing some of my sleep hours, which, you don't really need them. I've discovered they're more of an optional thing. But I've started doing scripting, so creative scripting. I have a couple short film scripts that are complete around the 10-page mark. And I recently finished a 3rd draft revision for a horror movie script that is at 100 pages so far.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Which is the golden rule is 1 minute per page in writing, so it's a 100-minute film. And so, I've had a couple meetings with some film folks who've given their kind of feedback on what are the kind of boxes that would need to tick to become more studio friendly, or this typical thing that you have with writing. Like, no writing is perfect off the bat. You write your draft, you have your discussions, you review, you get it to peer reviewed for feedback. It's a very lengthy process at the end of the day, and most writers, and this is more to talk about the creative side of things, but anyone who gets into writing, never feel bad about having to not succeed on your first draft. Oftentimes, you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drafts in before it gets to a point where it's done. But the creative side is something we really want to push more into, and because we have so many resources and processes, I want to start seeing about kind of, not necessarily, I don't want to use the word sponsor specifically, but work with local artists who don't have the equipment, who don't have the insurance, who don't have the ability to get film permits and things like that, to help them do creative projects, because we have that as a production company. We could facilitate with that, whether that be having scripts that are written for them, and equipment ready for them to use with us, having experts that they can work with that know how to do things, having the editing rigs required to edit the film at the end of the day, having the databases of stock footage and stock audio and sound effects and music and all that stuff, working with people who want to become filmmakers or cinematographers or actors or things like that, and kind of helping them do something so that they can put that on their resume, so to speak, before they start hunting for grant funding or opportunities where they have to point to a body of work that they've already done before. So that's something we want to get into more, is the creative side of things.
Cool.
Amazing.
I might actually just tag on to that and say that you should apply for a Creative Industries Arts Fund grant, because we are now a funder, and we have a micro grant that will be available for applying to in summer of 2024. But I'll get in touch, Ryen. And that can be for writing, it can be for film. And yeah, I know you're probably an experienced grant writer, but we also help folks with writing grants, and happy
And where
to.
could people apply for that or reach out to you?
Yeah, so Creative Industries has a social media account with Facebook and Instagram. I believe it's Creative Industries North Bay.
At Creative Industries North Bay?
Yep. And also our website, creativeindustriesnorth.ca, I believe. I'll have to double check that. It's a little different.
Google Creative Industries.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Yeah. And I know,
on that note,
yeah.
I was just going to say, even as an experienced grant writer, I will never say no to help, because if there's one thing I've learned, is it doesn't matter how good you are at something, having help softens the mental load of taking on too much stuff. And, when you're putting in grants, when you're writing scripts, when you're filming, when you're editing, you're trying to multitask, having organizations like Creative Industries, which can give that help, just gives a little bit more opportunity to actually do it, instead of wanting to do it because you just don't have the time or the energy because you're exhausted. So I'll probably, we absolutely should get in contact, even if it means working with some of the creatives that come out of there who need help with stuff.
Absolutely.
And partnering with some of the people too. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
No, that's great to know.
Okay, well, we have tallied the totals and the scores, and we have a winner, as well as a second place and a tie for third place.
Oh.
So that's going to be interesting. So tied for first place is Alisha Audrey Visuals. So she will be the proud owner of a Sony wireless headset. Congratulations, Alisha. And tied for third place as well is Twiggs Coffee Roasters. So congratulations, Twiggs. You are now the proud owner of a Square POS terminal. And we'll sort out how to get those and the logistics later. But yeah, for second place, we have Wild Astrology. And she did the video that was a kind of do yoga and all that sort of thing, and all the really great nature shots. So congratulations, Alexandra. And you will be winning the Samsung Galaxy tablet PC. So congratulations. And the winner of the Small Business Challenge 2024 is Gateway City Brewery with, a great win there with their piece of video content, and they are winning a 24-inch Samsung PC monitor. So congratulations, Sully and Gateway, and thank you so much to everyone who submitted videos. If you didn't win for some reason, I'm sure there's always next year. And as you can see, there was some great videos submitted, and I think the just overall level of quality of these videos shows that, we really can do it as business owners if we put our minds to it. And there doesn't need to be this ambiguity about taking video. You don't need to be embarrassed. It doesn't always have to be just about you. You can take videos of your products. You can show things that, you like about your business. Maybe you can show things you don't like about your business, but maybe that resonates with your audience. And I'll just throw it back to the panel. Do we have any key takeaways we'd like to share, Natasha?
I would just say just keep going at creating video content. I know at first it would be very overwhelming. So many different pieces, like when we're giving out feedback, there's lighting, there's sound, there's background, there's colors. Just start small and definitely keep going. I think video is going to always be a media piece that you have to use in your marketing plans, especially as our audience groups are changing. So I know within the younger demographics, they definitely only look for video content. They do not read. So definitely make sure that you're always putting video first, I would say. And don't be scared, just keep going. And there's a lot of supports out there to help. So I know that there are some funding programs that can kind of help you with some marketing pieces and kind of getting online digitally. So I think it's definitely important to be online through your social media channels and through your website. And you can't be everything to everyone. So there are so many different platforms out there. Just look at where your target audience is actually spending their time and focus on maybe one or two platforms to start off with, and then kind of create a schedule to help you keep on track in creating content. But I would just say congratulations to all of the 13 businesses that put their videos forward. And it was wonderful to be a part of this process. So thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Holly?
Yeah, I was just going to echo Natasha and say, video production and content, especially when it comes to marketing, has changed a lot in the last 4 and 5 years. I think it's actually the zeitgeist of social media has made it a lot easier to create content that doesn't have to be super high in production value to be noticed and to be viewed and to be high value in some spaces. So even if you're totally new to this type of marketing, I think you just get a pretty good iPhone with a good camera and go for it. You will learn as you go. You don't need to go to film school to know this stuff. It will eventually come to you. And especially if you're a viewer of this content, it will, naturally sort of probably be there anyway. So, and yeah, congratulations to everybody. I think it was really cool to see all the different types of videos and where people are pulling their inspiration from. Some are more cinematic, some are more tied to TikTok aesthetic, and it was just really cool to see. This was my first year, and yeah, it was really exciting.
Ryen?
I think the biggest thing to consider when doing video is ask yourself a couple really key questions in a specific order. Who is your audience? Where do they watch content? What is unique to the platform in which they're watching? And how can you take advantage of those unique aspects to communicate the best image? So, we talked about TikTok being very particular in how it's short, TikTok meme-esque, trendy content versus something like YouTube, which is searched, more cinematic, more engaging, versus something like, Instagram or Facebook or any of these kind of visual platforms. It's, figuring out who you're trying to get to buy stuff at the end of the day, where do they watch, and how can you take advantage of where they're watching the most. And just keep trying, because if you don't make content because you're afraid of not doing well, then no one's ever going to see your content. No one's ever going to know you exist. No one's ever going to have that awareness. Whereas at least if you try and you keep putting things out consistently, your brand will be out there, your message will be out there, and your audience will be along with that growth journey with you. And they'll see wow, this person's stuff has gotten better, or this person's doing new things. And they get to feel like they're part of that. So, don't be afraid to put stuff out, because no one will see you if you don't put stuff out.
Cool. Yeah, well said. Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and hope you have a safe trip home. And yeah, thank you. That was it. So that's the end of the Small Business Video Challenge for 2024. I'm Scott Murphy, and we're sponsored again by North Bay Echo, who we're recording in, and it's been great. Really friendly team here. And also just a shout out to other sponsors. We've got the Business Centre Nipissing Parry Sound, Digital Main Street, the Ontario Business Improvement Area Association, also known as OBIA, the Ontario Provincial Government, and Toronto Association of Business Improvement Areas, also known as TABIA. Thank you. See you at the next one.